Hi, chat. How are you guys doing tonight? And we got a special guest. Let me grab him real quick. Hold on. Coming to us with a little bit of a hiatus. Guys, a little bit of Clyde. A little bit of Clyde there for you guys. He's a sleepy dog. He has a busy time here in Florida. He barks at everything. And then when Brody barks at something, he goes and him and Brody are like a team now. They go like everywhere. It's like Ralph says, like him and Josh, they go together like ham and cheese. And they go together running around, checking out all the doors. They check out the perimeter. You know, they patrol. They do a very good job of it. They do a very good job. So, yeah, haircut. We'll get to the haircut. Don't worry. We're stalling for a minute, chat, trying to avoid having to talk about it. Oh my God. All right. Clyde, I'm going to set you on the ground, okay, Bubba? There you go, buddy. Good boy. Such a good boy. You guys love the haircut. Stop. Haircut is... Oh. So we tried a new place today, and look what happened. Like, look what they did to me. Look what happened, chat. It's like, Jesus Christ. Guy was really nice. I'm just like, yeah, we're going somewhere else next time. I show 2.0, and she's like, well, at least your hair's cut. It's not very good at all. I saw what you sent me. Yes, Katie. The Austrian painter is coming for an inspection. Jawohl. Like, yes. If I was riding around a half track on my way to, at this time of the year, well, they still hadn't done it yet, but yes, on my way in a half track, riding on my way to Smolensk, this would make sense. This type of haircut. But yeah, I got done and he gave me the mirror and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this motherfucker gave me a drop fade. And I was like, I don't even think he realized what he gave me. So, yeah, he was a very nice guy. And the funny thing was, I even showed him the person who cut my hair up in Ohio said, here's what I do. And I'm like, this is what I've been doing. Use it. You guys hear me okay? It says, use it how, you like, take a look at this. Can you do it? And he said, yeah, I could do it. And I said, like, however else you like, if you think there's something you could change it or tweak, go for it. And yeah, he did you give him a salute? And I gave him a good tip, and the tip was like up to here. So yeah. So I'm like, gonna have to find some places, Chad. This is gonna be a summer of discontent. If I can't get a good haircut, this is going to be a summer of discontent. Let me tell you what, chat. Let me tell you what, because I am not enthralled right now. Richard Spencer haircut. But unlike Richard Spencer, I'm not a faggot. You sound like you sound German, Sean. Yes. And sprechen Sie Deutsch. Carl Casarda maxing. Okay. Them's are fucking fighting words, Johnny. Them's are fighting words, sir. Well, he's probably cutting your hair. He was thinking, fuck this Yankee. Maybe. I showed him a picture of Nick and said, do your worst. So Sellers saying every stream intro for the next 6 weeks. Yeah. 3 and a fade to a trim at top. I do a 2 and a fade. That's how I normally do it. So yeah, I don't know. Did he tweak out while he was doing it? I don't know. Daniel's just hanging there, lost Santa. Looks like a little release of heat, but will it start to burn? I'm okay. I have Italian in me, so like I can handle a little bit of sunburn. I mean, look, I tan up pretty nicely. Look at that. Look at that, chat. I got some room to tan. But Jesus Christ, this is embarrassing. It's a youth league of sorts. Yes. It's a very good youth league. So let's get the Fifth Reich fade. Yes. So where are we going into Poland? Shh. Not yet. Not yet. We'll be doing some partisan operations. The partisans. Got to get rid of them. You ain't losing any more hair, Sean. I know I won't. I don't. And you can't even cover it because you got a giant fucking dome. I know I do. I have a big fucking head, and that's part of the problem. So. All right, chat. Yeah, we'll figure it out, though. We'll survive. When can we invade Red Bull? Bob says I've been getting into the Bolt action too much. I know. Got my Africa core haircut. All right, guys, real quick. We can't catch up on some things here. Also, real quick, before we get started, guys, welcome to the show. If you guys are new, there are probably new people around from just watching the Tyler Robbins stuff. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I'm an attorney licensed in Ohio. Just moved to Florida. And until I take the Florida bar, I'm only an Ohio licensed attorney. So I can't do any work down here right now. So it's like, I'm kind of like, I'm in limbo. I'm like unbaptized babies. I'm kind of out there and there's like nowhere to go. Anyways, welcome to the show, guys. Hope you like it. It's Thursday. It's time for the Thursday show. Real quick, though, we got Potentially Criminal gifting 10 subs. Fuck yeah. Let's start off strong. Big support tonight, guys. EDW Raptor with 5 subs. Gets us in a woo already, guys. Once again, like I said, I came this close. Like, I was like a second and a half away from catching on a woo this morning. Couldn't get the camera fired up, but he looked at me. He's like, Fat Man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to woo. I tried to get the camera up, and he went, woo. It was a good one. Better than that. It was better than that one. EDW Raptor for $5. We hit the goal. Yes, chat. What was the goal? We hit the goal. Just $5. Amateur Iconoclast for $5 says, for the goal. We 2x the goal, chat. We 2x the goal. Let's get our Grant Cardone on and 10x it. Amateur Iconoclast gifting 5 subs. Gets another woo tonight, chat. Yes, I love the woos. You never have enough of woos. So, and Shiro, how you doing, man? Say, forever gray, forever alone, and then, like a minute later, they got me. And then Katie said late and gay. How did that work out for you, Katie? Huh? Ooh, take the L. Take the L. SB Sellers gifting 5 subs. And guys, you are doing your part to help pray the gray away. We are going to make America green again. And when you guys do this, you literally are crushing the grays out there. You're making them suffer. That's how it looks. That's what it is you do when you buy memberships. You're like, there is a Clyde out there on the internet, and he is stomping on little gray people, and they can't stop him. They can't stop him. Wrestler Town for $5 says, it took me over a year to find a place to get a haircut in Florida. This is normal. Make a friend and ask them where they go get their haircut. I will do that. I'll figure that out. I gotta go make friends. Fuck. And then Taoist Punk gifting 10 subs. Once again, guys, just establishing this is a green neighborhood. Grays, keep fucking walking. Because you know what this means? It means not welcome. It means not welcome, chat. Damn it, where'd it go? I lose everything. I have rearranged my stuff.
See this? That means not welcome.
That means not welcome, chat. You see it? Thank you for your support, your generosity for 10 subs. It's not the haircut that makes you look fat, it's your waistline. Thanks, Nico. Eric says, terminally gray, just like my cancer. I know you had. I didn't know that about you, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Hope you're hanging in there. Hopefully it's not like, colon cancer and it's eating your asshole out. Hopefully it's, sorry to hear it though. Hope you're doing okay. Let's see here. What are you saying here? Bald Eagle says, it's nice to know I'm doing my part playing Dawn of War Online and wiping out towel players left and right as the Imperial Guard. Hell yeah. Kick ass. Everything is fine over here, says Jesus Sean. What if it is? I'm like, that's really going to suck. As Modal says, ask Tyler Robinson about asshole eating. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing we learned about today, guys. We were watching the Tyler Robinson trial, which we will finish up the preliminary hearings after this. He apparently wasn't the man in the relationship. The Troon, Lance Twiggs, who actually sounds like this, was the man. And it's like, what is going on? But we learned a lot. Chat. We learned a lot. It was a Mauser rifle chambered at 30-06. We learned it was basically hunting grade ammunition he used. All kinds of good stuff. So no locals tonight? Yeah. Not tonight, guys. We got to catch up on this stuff. This is like relevant things. Sorry. I apologize. So, yeah, the furry was his master pretty much, man. Pretty much. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. So we know Candace Owens is still retarded. Yep. We know 100%. 100%. Yeah, I didn't expect his voice to be that way either. That was really a big surprise. So, Dirty Eric says, it's no big deal. The things I've seen with your eyes. Well, like I said, man, hang in there. I'm sorry to hear that, but I hope you beat it. What does Candace say? Candace says like a bunch of Egyptian commandos and the Mossad and some weird shit killed him. I don't know. I don't fucking listen to her. She's an idiot. Here's what Candace Owens says. Nah. That's what Candace Owens says. So I don't know what she says. Whiskey 77 says he is 1/3 of Whiskey 77, 3 beers, and Feral. It's part of Assholes React, and you might think, wait, does that mean like they react to assholes? It's like, yes, they watch that video of the guy shoving broken glass up his ass and react to it. No, they do a great show Sunday nights, guys. Check them out. You'll enjoy it. But yes, thank you. I had to get this haircut to join the Florida Subaru Club. Thank you, Whiskey. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. And more importantly, though, Sula's been a member for 26 months. Thank you for being here. That's a long time, man. So starting a new job on Monday, wish me luck. Well, congratulations on that job, man. Hopefully it's something you were gunning for. And if you got it, I hope it is everything you want it to be. It's gonna be fun for you on Monday. It's probably gonna be a blur. And you're gonna have to learn about all the things you can't do sexual harassment wise at your job. So congratulations. Whiskey says, bro, the show is dead. It's only dead if you let it die. It's only dead if you let it die. But anyways, keep going, man. Keep going on that stuff and enjoy your job, man. Enjoy it. Cheesehead, we are going to get to the Louisiana AG getting indicted. It's very weird. So now that you're in Florida, does that mean no more Stony plugs? So why would that be the case? Why would that even be an option? No more Stony plugs? No more Stony plugs. Are you serious? Chat, I mean, like, I don't know what more you could say, but if you want something to do, it's Thursday night. Go take your bike out to 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota, chat. That's right. Go to Stoney's. It's bike night. Go crank your hog out on that beautiful patio. It's not new anymore, but it's well seasoned. You know, they use it, and it's great, chat. They got Wild Willie's Sandwich Shack out there tonight. I mean, they're open now, guys. They're open. They're open until midnight, and it's only right now 8:45. Hop on your hog and get out there. Hop on your hog and get out there. Guys, they have the 30th annual bike run and street dance on Saturday. Everything, kickstands are up at 1 p.m., and they're going to go do their thing. You guys can join. You guys can have some fun. It's a great time. You know, the Radio Nation performing is from 9 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Obviously, probably not, you know, I don't think it really means real radio. That means that they don't need Aaron there for that. But guys, Saturday, Paul Jensen's playing in the garage from 2 to 5. I mean, like, what more could you want tonight? I mean, like, I don't know what more you want from Stoney's. I don't know what more you want from a place where you come ride your bike up and bro out and have some fun and do your thing for $2.50 cans. Like, what more do you want? What more do you want from these people? What more do you want from them? I don't know. I don't know what else you can ask for. But there you go, chat. Stoney's Bar, serving Central Minnesota as the premier, not even Central, all of Minnesota, all of the Midwest, the world, for 30 years running, chat. 30 years down, 970 to go. That's what you're going to get at Stoney's, chat. We got other things here, guys. Chat, you know, and aside from that, go to thedragonstreasure.com. Use a code criminal, 10% off your tea, your coffee, soaps. We can't let Meme Copium win, chat. We can't let that dirty foreigner beat us. I mean, don't even win. Just beat him out of spite. That's good enough. That's good enough, chat. It's good enough. Then, chat, last but not least, MAF Corporation, MAF-arms.com. Chat, you know him, you love him. Matt LaRosiere, Fudbusters. Guys, get your wind chimes. It's summertime. You know, before you know it, summer's going to be over, and those wind chimes aren't going to be worthless. So get them out now and enjoy them. Get them out now and enjoy them. Use the promo code POCRIM for 10% off. I don't know if anybody's actually ever used it. I got to ask him. Remember, chat, orders of $150 or more, Matt will put a lipstick kiss on your invoice. So got some incentive. $150, not including shipping. It's got to be $150 of in-store purchases. So check them out, guys. MAF-arms.com. So let's see here. And where do you stand on the lolly anime stuff? I don't fucking care. You got some wind chimes for your birthday, like his wind chimes or like women wind chimes? Oh. I mean, ultimately, Kay, I'm all about beating Meme Copium. That's all I care about. I have singular focus. We are crushing that Kiwi. We are crushing his asshole. We are stomping him out under our boot heel. That's all I'm worried about. I'm here to win. Are you here to win? Do you want to let Meme Copium win? No. Then jump on the team and come in, join us for the big win. That's all you need to worry about right now. The rest of it, we can worry about afterwards. Worry about it afterwards. So, you're not even watching the House of the Dragon. I'm so disappointed in you. I mean, we're like partway through season 4 of Clarkson's Farm, where like he's trying to buy the pub and that didn't work, so he has to find a different pub. That's what I'm on right now. And he just got all the pigs and he put them in a pig lorry. And then I also just saw him try to buy all the tractors. So ow, damn, that hurt. Ow, son of a bitch. Okay, what the fuck was that? Ow. So, anyways, yeah. Also, rest in peace, Bonnie Tyler. Yes. Yes. I got the camera advice from Ecopia. No, my camera works. I don't have these gay cameras with like batteries and stuff. Mine's just, I have a simple camera. Just plugs into the computer. Has no battery. It's AI generated. That's all it does. So, you click on the put on desk mode, it gives you desk mode. I don't have to do anything else with it. I don't understand why these guys have these ridiculous cameras. This is 100 and actually, hold on. How much is this now? The Insta Link 360 camera. Oh, there's a version 2 now. The Instalink 2. How much is this fucker? It's $199. And this was like $169 when 2.0 got it for me. That's all you need. Like, you don't need a super ridiculous camera, guys. You don't. You just don't. You just don't need that kind of. You don't need that kind of stuff, man. Don't need that kind of stuff. Don't understand what people do. Don't understand when people do it. So. Because you use camera bodies and lenses. Why? I don't know. I don't know why these guys do. Oh, did I miss that person here? The total eclipse of the felt. Yes, for Phil. Yes. Chugi says it's not a real farm, Sean. It's drop shipped. I understand Clarkson's Farm isn't a real thing. He gets financed by Amazon. So I always love watching that show when he has like things aren't going well for him and he brings over fellow farmers who are suffering. And it's like he's a multimillionaire. Like he'll never go broke. And these people are like, we're about to lose our livelihood. And Jeremy's crying to them about it. And they're like, motherfucker. We're like, we're actually going to go broke. So. Oh. Let's see here. Dolly, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Because the cameras need to be the same quality as a professional photographer. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand. You guys, nobody seems to think this is a problem. We broadcast in 720 and 1080. So if the camera's at 10 pounds, how many do I have on me? A lot of cameras. A lot of cameras. So using 8K camera streams at 360p. Garrett says, holy shit, I just noticed the haircut. Yeah. Tim and Tam says he knows how bad the actual farmers have because of how his farm is feeling. I understand. But like when he brings them over and when he had his problem with the pigs and the pig farmers come over and they're like, he's like, well, I might have to give up this hobby farm. And they're like, we're about to lose a farm we've had in our family for 15 generations. It's like, it's not the same. It's not the same. And besides, he gets funded by Amazon now for all this. It's only the chick streamers who need 8K cameras. Yeah. Yeah. So. Oh my God, guys, 25 minutes. Fuck, we went on through the Tyler Robinson stuff. All right. I guess we'll start off with, the fairness in our system, the fairness in the system that we deal with, chat. guys remember Judge Hannah Dugan, the judge out of Milwaukee? She went ahead and, helped obstruct ICE officers from attempting to arrest a man because she just gosh darn dolly didn't like it. She obstructed them and had that illegal sneak out the back door. Well, eventually they caught him, and he still got a fuerid, Hannah. He still got a fuerid, honey. Well, she got charged for that, and she went to trial, and she got convicted. Jury found her guilty. Well, she had her sentencing yesterday, and guess what happened? Yeah, she faces no prison time. Yeah. So this is Judge Dugan acting like she's like a fucking freedom fighter or some shit. And this is her. This is Judge Dugan acting like a freedom fighter. And yeah. So what did she get? She was fined $5,000, but spared prison time. Not even a little bit. Not even a couple of days. Nothing. And yeah, this was against, she was a former Milwaukee County Circuit Court. I mean, she handled like felony work. And, I like how they phrase this. She was among the first tests of the Justice Department's wide-ranging effort to punish local officials standing in the way of Trump's policies. You're not allowed to do this. And here's the funny thing, chat, and this is the biggest thing we actually need to talk about. If I had done that in her courtroom, let's say I was in her courtroom, and some Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputies came in, and they said, hey, we've got a warrant for your friend Mario. Your client Mario is here. We're coming to arrest him. If I took Mario out the back door and snuck him out and away from escaping a local warrant, you know what would happen to me? I would get grieved. I would get held in contempt. And I would probably get set in jail for a couple of days. Because there's no way Judge Dugan would let people do that in her court to her authority. But because it's not her authority, and it doesn't offend her magisterium, she didn't care. She did what she wanted because it didn't hurt her. But God forbid if someone had tried that for a case pending in front of her, and one of the defendants in front of her tried any kind of funny business like that, she would have lost her goddamn mind. She would have lost her mind, chat. 100%. And we all know it. But she gets to walk. And here's the thing. And she said, for more than a year, the circumstances of this have been politicized. Your actions were politicized. You decided you wanted to resist and do what you thought you got to set immigration policy in the United States, lady. You thought you got to set immigration policy, but you know what? You don't. And she said, I have been cast as both a scofflaw and a hero. I am neither. I am a public servant who is just trying to do my job. How is that part of your job as a public servant? Your job is to be the judge of circuit court in Milwaukee County. That is your job. Once again, had I done this in her court to somebody on her docket for a case that was pending in front of her like that and escaped the justice that she's trying to enforce, I guarantee you we'd have a far different statement from her. A far different statement. But absolutely obnoxious. Absolutely obnoxious in this. But anyways, in a sentencing memo, the prosecutors asked for 15 to 21 months. They didn't ask for a specific sentence from Judge Lynn Edelman, who was nominated by Bill Clinton. Where you're like, oh, spoiler alert. And it's true. Rather than uphold the rule of law, remember, it's the rule of law. Who is more important in upholding the rule of law than judges? Aren't we told that? The judges are critical. That, Hannah Dugan used the power and prestige of her office to obstruct federal agents. Yeah, because those guys uphold the rule of law. Those agents respect the judges. They understand her power and her role in the system. And she abused that. And to help an individual evade arrest. You know, and it is serious. And it warrants a correspondingly serious sentence. Yes, this is one of these times where you being punished sets the example. Now we know it doesn't really mean anything. And what did the judge say ultimately? He said that Miss Dugan was an otherwise good person who was upset by immigration enforcement, who had made a bad decision in the moment. Oh, Chad, she just had a bad day. She just had a bad day. But it's okay, because her heart was in the right place. Doesn't matter if she's upset with immigration enforcement. I'm sure the people that get drugged in front of her in handcuffs are upset by the fact they have to be in front of her. But you know what? They have to take it. They have to deal with it. The people she places on probation have to deal with it. The people she sends to prison have to deal with it. But for her, she doesn't have to deal with anything. Federal law says something. She's like, I don't have to abide. How does that work out? How does that work out? How does that work out for us? And the judge says, isn't it a case of public corruption where an official sells her office? No, it's even worse. She abused her office. She did this for free. You know, her attorneys, though, said she's been intentionally shamed from coast to coast by the leadership of the DOJ and the FBI. As she should. As she should. She should be castigated. She should be mocked. This woman is awful. She's a threat to the democratic underpinnings of our government. This is not acceptable conduct from a judge. It is not acceptable conduct from a judge. At all. You know, and it's funny. They say whatever the merits of the ongoing dispute, they will continue without any participation from her. Why? Well, she resigned from the bench. So there's no possibility of the acts being repeated. Well, Your Honor, I can't kill my wife again. She's dead, so I can't kill my wife anymore. I guess isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a good thing, Judge? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The neat thing is she gets to keep her state pension. Oh, isn't that cute? And her law license remains active. So maybe she loses her license. Who knows? I mean, is she gonna get anything out of this? Is she gonna get anything out of this? Oh, sorry guys, I didn't realize I didn't mute that. Sorry. Is she gonna get any? Like, is anybody gonna learn anything out of this? You know, and what did she get to say? Well, she wanted to, you know, I'm fighting in the resistance here, chat. Said for 9 years I've strived to do my best to uphold justice. Really? This is you think the best? To uphold our laws and Constitution. How does doing whatever the fuck you want uphold the Constitution? To have a courtroom of decorum and safety. Really? How? Can I do whatever I want in your courtroom, Judge? We all know I can't, so... I mean, really. I work hard to uphold these duties every day. I had those same intentions on that day. Meaning, what she's saying, fuck you, I'll do what I want. Fuck you, I do what I want. You know, there is no... Yeah, nothing really happens. Nothing really happens. And you know what? So much for the rule of law, chat. So much for the rule of law, chat. So much for the rule of law. Yeah. I know I broke the law, but I had good intentions. I didn't mean anything bad. Sorry. Sorry. It's like doesn't work that way, man. Doesn't work that way. She should have lost her law license, but I guess the bar has to go through the motions. Well, I don't know if that's even guaranteed in Wisconsin. We'll see. We'll see. It's just absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. But yeah, guys, I understand. Sorry, the mute. You'll survive, okay? I've been like, it's just coughing up the last of the crap here, so. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Oh, I killed my wife. Well, as long as I don't remarry, I'm good to go because I can't kill another wife again. Yeah. No, she should have gone to prison. Even 6 months. 6 months something. Yeah, does anybody else get that leniency? I doubt it. I doubt it. So we'll see, though. We'll see what happens here, chat. But remember, this is a good example. A good example of what happens in let's Clearwater chat in a wig. Oof. VTubing enthusiast for $5 says guilty. That not in Uncle Ruckus voice. That neighbor's guilty. Hang that neighbor now. I got the rope right here. Yes. And Outlaw 2 says, when I robbed the bank, I had good intentions, Judge. I was going to give some of the money to a children's hospital. Yeah. So it's all okay. Yeah, it's a thought that counts, I guess, apparently. Very good, Mr. Squiggles. And Marlene says, nobody's above the law. Apparently some people are. Some people are, apparently. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it's... Apparently she gets to escape man's justice. And, where is the justice in that? I don't know, Chad. I don't know, and it's sad. But with that, we must suffer. We suffer, chat. We'll suffer, and we'll keep on suffering. We will keep on suffering. And more suffering and cope that's out there, I just want you to make sure you guys understand this is all just weapons-grade copium. Do not believe any of it. It's not going to happen, and don't freebase don't freebase copium. Don't freebase copium. And why? Because when you see something like this, nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to happen. This is from President Trump. He's upset because in Mexico they're advertising birthright citizenship. I'm sure they are. He says, I will be asking for a rehearing by the U.S. Supreme Court immediately. Yeah, SCOTUS ain't going to rehear it. It's done. SCOTUS ain't going to rehear it. You're done. It's over. So people, don't send me emails. It's done. It's finny. It's finished. It's done. There ain't nothing happening. That train ain't coming back. So don't huff copium. Don't huff copium tonight. Don't think that it's going to be good. And if you guys see this guy out there, anonymous SCOTUS clerk, he's saying something changed in Amy Coney Barrett. Nope. And she's going to flip. There's nothing to flip. Like, it's over. It's over. Apparently, this guy actually admits it's a lie later, too. So, the OP admits he's lying. which is good, but if that's the case, but there you go. Yeah, it's not going to happen. SCOTUS wire, yeah, it's not happening, man. Not happening. Just, yeah. So, nothing's going to fix that. Nothing's going to fix that. And then Bald Eagle 1787 says, this is what happens when you let the judiciary run with impunity and make policy from the bench, since Obama. I mean, to be fair, judges have been doing whatever the hell they want since they're judges. Don't think it's just now. It's just you know about it and you see it, and it's more directly in your face. But no, judges have always done whatever the hell they wanted because they're judges and they're prima donnas in wigs and robes. It's what they do. It's what they do, chat. And with my luck, there's judges out there watching, and they're like, that's not true. It's like, but it is true. It is true, Your Honor. It's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Oh, it's so true. Now, moving on from there with another, this is kind of funny how this all worked out. Brian Cole, the January 6th bomber, tried to assert that Trump's J6 pardon for the January 6ers and the commutations applied to him. So it's very interesting how that all worked. Now, what is important here? Well, we got to start with Trump's actual language here, because we went over this. We talked about it before. So the granting of pardons and the commutation of sentences for January 6, 2021. So what did he do? Well, he commuted the sentences of a bunch of the Oath Keepers and also a couple of these guys who were also Proud Boys like Ethan Ordine, Joe Biggs, Zach Rail, Dominic Pizzola, Jeremy Bertino. Those guys were all Proud Boys. The guys up top were Oath Keepers. Right, since this guy commuted, a bunch of them got their pardons, though. And then what did he do? He granted a full, complete, and unconditional pardon to all other individuals convicted of offenses related to events that occurred at or near the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. So you had to be... guys, remember, this is where we talked about pardons can be very expansive. They can be very narrow. And it may seem expansive, but actually it's not. It's a very narrow bit of people. People convicted of offenses related to events that occurred on January 6, 2021. So you had to be convicted. Now, there's another part of this, though. Oh. Hold on, what the hell is this? What the hell? Why is this person calling at 11 o'clock at night? That's a little ridiculous. Ridiculousness. Hold on. So, hold on here, chat. Anyway, that's, yeah. But what is the other thing he does? I further direct the Attorney General to pursue dismissal of prejudice to the government of all pending indictments. Notice, it's all pending indictments against individuals for conduct related to the events at or near the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. So notice, it doesn't cover guys who haven't been indicted yet. Only people who are currently indicted or convicted. It's very narrow in the scope that it does cover stuff. It's 9:15. It's 10:15 here. So, who's calling? Answer a speaker. Yeah. Well, I don't take phone calls generally after 10:15, that late at night. So, But think about how narrow in scope this is. It's actually very narrow. It's a lot of people, but these people fall into very specific classes. And that's the thing where people are upset that they're sweeping. They cover a lot of people, but it's not. It's like the Vietnam draft dodgers. They got covered, but it was for the draft dodgers. It wasn't just like everybody got out of it. But what happened from here? Well, Brian Cole tried to use this in his favor and say, well, Your Honor, you can't, I dismiss the case against me. I get to go home. So remember, he's been charged with a couple of crimes. He's the guy who placed the pipe bombs, allegedly, the government says, placed the pipe bombs outside the DNC and the RNC up on the lead up to January 6th. Apparently, it's not the Capitol police officer who everybody thinks it was. Even though it's kind of sus that she, her whole story is really sus. But whatever, I guess this guy for now. But anyways, he tried to claim that his conduct falls within the president's January 20th pardon. And he says the pardons by its terms do not apply. So, but once again, the court just focuses on how this works. And you have to be a complete and unconditional pardon to all individuals convicted of offenses related to it. And then it says pursue dismissal with prejudice for all cases of all pending indictments. So why? Well, he claims it applies to him because he's accused of planning pipe bombs near the DNC and the RNC based. Both of them are based on January 5th, 2021. The judge says, though, it doesn't apply to him. And yes, when the president exercises pardon power, the court's responsibility is to interpret it. And it says the pardon power may not be exercised or altered by either Congress or the judiciary. But courts can interpret and apply pardons. So courts use the usual tools of interpretation, meaning, tools of construction, what do words mean, to determine the meaning of the pardon's language, which controls. Use ordinary tools of statutory interpretation, like the dictionary. And it says interpretation of a pardon hinges on the text of the pardon. So what does it say? Well, if you're convicted of offenses there, or, it says all indictments that are pending. Well, Cole had not been convicted when the president issued the pardon. Indeed, he was not charged until many months after the president's proclamation. Now, you might say, if you're Brian Cole, you could have pulled a pro gamer move here, and you'd say, why didn't he just go in, let's say he knows now what happened, put him in a time machine and go back and confess, 6 months prior to Trump winning. And promising that he still gets a part, that Trump still wins and still does the pardon on January 20th. Well, it's not guaranteed, and we'll get to why that may not be there. Cole does not try to explain how a pardon for individuals convicted of offenses applies to him. He shifts to a new theory in his reply that the president's directive to pursue dismissal with prejudice of all pending indictments requires the Attorney General to dismiss the charges against him. Well, they point out Cole was charged in December 2025. Months after the proclamation, he didn't have a pending indictment at the time of the president's orders. So therefore, it got dismissed. Now, here's the big thing, and going back to this right here, this issue here. I know some of you might say, but Sean, he could go ahead and go in a time machine, and he could confess, and then Trump could pardon him. Sure. But what also Trump could do is he says, I'm pardoning everybody on January 6th except Brian Cole. And he can do that. You can do a pardon that's that simple. You can include and exclude people you want, as long as I think as long as you aren't being racist in it, because the court's enforcing racism at that point. You run into a 14th Amendment issue. But for example, though, the president could say he could pick one person, like every 10th person out of these groups, and say, except for this 10th person that I'm randomly going to pick. And he'll point him out by name and say, you don't get a pardon, you don't get a pardon, you don't get a pardon. So they could do it. They could do it. And Trump could say, Brian Cole, you don't get a pardon. And that would be okay. It could be specifically listed. It's almost like a will where you're writing people out. You can write people out of wills specifically, and that's how you should do it. Trump could write the pardon document and say, Brian Cole is not included in this list. He has to go to trial. And that would be acceptable. That would be something that makes sense, and that would work. Seller says plenary powers, he can be erased as he wants. I don't know. You would think so, but I don't know if that could actually be there. So he might be able to. I don't know if he could actually, technically. He could say no blackies get pardons. Like, I don't think he could do that. I don't think he can do that. Because then at the end of the day, you're using the courts to enforce discrimination, and that becomes a 14th Amendment issue. So I don't know how that would work. It's a very good argument. It's the argument I would make as well, as saying it's a plenary power. That it's unlimited. Like, so, do what you got to do, bro. Let me see here. If you had a time machine, you wouldn't go back to kill baby Hitler, though? Why would I want to do that? I'd really go kill baby Stalin. Or baby Mao. Just saying. Or baby FDR. Could you do it without mentioning race? I think so, but I don't know. Baby Karl Marx, yep. Or you go all the way back to the Fabian Society when they were meeting and throw a pipe bomb in there and kill them all. So, JB says baby Mao. I'm not talking about Mao from Discord. I'm talking about Mao Zedong. Both baby Mao, sure. Don't forget about both of them. See, basically the babies who won World War II. No, I wouldn't go after baby Churchill. So, Katie says, when do you think your eyebrows are going to lighten up to match your hair? I don't know. They're hanging in there. So, Katie says, I would throw a vacuum at it. Why would you throw a vacuum at things? Bug says pipe bombs have a bad habit of causing world wars, though. Yeah, but then otherwise I got to walk in there with like a Tommy gun and just like the Fabian Society in like the 1890s, just like that would be rough too. Be a lot of work. That would be a lot of work. So I'm not gonna do that. So let me see. Baby Obama's a problem. Yeah, but if you take care of like the Fabian Society or like Karl Marx, you don't have problems like Barack Obama. So Spuggun says, show him us the crest of the Fabians. Okay. Yeah. It's the Fabian Society. They are famous for basically really acknowledging the scum they are. They are a wolf in sheep's clothing. This is their logo. So, if you go back and kill the prophet, that kills all the other nonsense with it. Well, actually, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, chat. So, that's not a bad one. So, let's see. Where we got left here? Okay, guys. We are moving on. Moving on now to a couple other things here, guys. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter night, I think, but some interesting stuff that's out there. If you guys remember the California bar exam, we talked about this a couple of times. Last year, California's bar exam was an absolute disaster. Complete freaking train wreck. It was so bad they basically passed people because they realized they got screwed over with the way the test was administered, how it was handled. Well, in the meantime, the state of California audited the whole process, and they talk about what happened here, and they bring up a bunch of problems. And it's very interesting how they didn't do things right and what they didn't do right. So it was really, 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 really bad. So first of all, they kind of explain here in California, and every state's kind of similar to an extent. But generally speaking, your state Supreme Court is kind of your governing authority. You admit individuals to practice law. You also create, your state bar is generally endowed through them, which has a state bar board of trustees. Then you have a committee of bar examiners, and then you have like the Office of Admissions to practice law, eligibility and testing, and then administration and examination. This is actually like a lot of states have similar kind of structure to this. And they point out though that the bar exam is given twice a year in February and July. And they point out that the 2020 bar exam was postponed because of the pandemic. Yeah, it really threw everything off. 2020 was an awful year. And they point out that here's how this works. They point out there's 2 sections of the exam. And here's what the exam for California is like. Essays and performance test. 50% of your total bar exam score. You have 5 one-hour essays. That could be about anything here. Anything here. So you have to pick, they'll pick 5 out of this thing. All this stuff is possible, but not all of it's guaranteed. Only 5 of them are. And that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting how they do this. Out of that stack of 5 here, which ones is it going to be? Of these guys, it's going to be 5 of them. Then there's one 90-minute performance test. And this should be called the MPT, the multi-state performance test. You're given a bunch of stuff to do, and you're told to basically create a memo or some sort of legal document. Then you have the multi-state bar examination, the MBE. It's 200 multiple choice that tests 7 subjects. And this one's a behemoth, and it's 50% of your score. This one's a bitch and a half. That takes, in Ohio, that took a whole day when I took it. It was a whole day of it. So they point out how this works in here, and they go through all of this. Now, what happens here? Well, they do things called equating to ensure that multiple choice on one exam administration is an equivalent proficiency to another exam. So that's how they they level things out. They also use scaling to ensure that any variation in the difficulty of the written sections do not affect the test taker's likelihood of passing. Because sometimes they write in a question and they're like, oh shit, this is really hard. Sometimes it happens. So what happened normally when selecting or developing questions, they explain that law professors draft essay questions and performance test questions. And the state bar retains practicing attorneys to develop and grade essay and performance test questions. And that makes sense. Because if you're telling people to put their documents, you want practicing attorneys to do it. And you have people help grade. And they say for the multiple choice sections of it, the state used the questions from the NBC, the National Conference of Bar Examiners. And they license the multi-state bar exam. And they do not allow for remote administration of exams that uses materials. And that's because they are, just like the ACT and the SAT, they guard their stuff furiously and very, very jealously. Now, everything changed during the pandemic. That was like the big asterisk moment for everybody. Hey, so for these 3 exams, the state bar contracted with ExamSoft. ExamSoft is the stuff we use too. It basically can lock you out of your computer and you're stuck in the testing software. Well, anyways, what was it doing? It was recording test takers as they took the exam, and they reviewed the recordings to identify possible instances of cheating or other violations. And they said that they had to review thousands of recordings after 3 exams and found the technology was not adequate to secure the integrity. Therefore, they didn't want to use the technology in 2025. And they point out for at least 5 years prior, they were considering making changes. So they went through a bunch of stuff here, and they were trying to figure out what to do, how to save money, and make this work. Well, they were exploring the use of a hybrid bar exam, meaning some people could come and take it in person, some people could do it at home. The motivation for this was financial. Other considerations, including test taker performance, access and cost savings, as well as improved flexibility for everybody, was important. Okay, so that sounds great. Okay, well, what happened? In August of 2024, they contracted with Kaplan. Kaplan is one of the major learning companies out there. For the law, you have like Themis, Barbary, and Kaplan. And Kaplan does all kinds of other teaching things. I think they do like GRE and MCAT stuff. But notice, for the February 2025 bar exam, August 2024, that's 6 months. That's not a lot of time to get ready for it. That's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time. And then in November 2024, they did with Measure Learning to provide proctoring services. They worked with a company to provide psychometric consulting services and analysis. And they, and they point out here the contractors that were engaged. Okay, that sounds great. And they said the contracting requirements. Well, it sounds like they had some issues here about that because, yeah, how did that work here? Well, I'm sure that there weren't any bidding issues there, but they point out the differences that were between the before the 2025 exam and the 2025 exam. They say that, they proctored the exam in person with exceptions only during COVID. Yep. This new group proctored in person and remotely. The February 2024 bar exam had a 33% pass rate. And that was within 1 percentage point of the previous 2 years. February 2025 had a 65% pass rate. And that was after adjustments and the retest. So there's a lot of problems here. So what's one of the biggest ones? Poor planning. They committed to using their own questions for the February bar, and they only had 6 months to develop them and validate them. Remember, it's one thing to come up with a question, but you have to be able to validate it. Is it good? Does it work? And with multiple choice, is it the right question to ask? Does it make sense? Is it fair? Can you test it? Part of the multi-state bar exam, they slip in test questions for the next year. There's like 5 to 10 of them. And you take them, and they don't part of your score, but they're used to gauge whether or not they've got good questions. So how does this work then? Well, how did this work? Well, they say under the terms of the contract, the bar had the ability to monitor the development of questions. But when they identified a content gap, they believe Kaplan didn't have adequate time to address it because of the timeline. To address the gap, they asked ACS Ventures to develop multiple choice questions, allowing the use of AI. Nobody was told about this. They didn't have provisions in the contract to ensure the quality of the questions that were produced. The Kaplan contract didn't give adequate time for the development of multiple choice. And here's the thing. The biggest problem was they couldn't offer it remotely if they wanted to use the NCBE stuff. So they were basically, they had problems here. But there's problems with this because they had 6 months to get ready. And it's interesting, Kaplan submitted the only valid response to the state's RFI and, responded 3 months later. Other people did. But there was so much of a problem. And they wanted, and it's funny because the NCBE said, don't use our copyrighted materials to create your questions. And because of that, they withdrew from the May 2024 planning stages. And it says Kaplan really wanted to develop the 2025 questions for July instead of February. They're like, we're not ready for this. We're not ready for this. But they agreed to meet expectations. And in July 2024, they were authorized to do it. You're like, okay, well, those of you do contracting, you're like, I can already see this is crashing and burning. They had 6 months to complete it. And here's the thing, the NCBE can take up to 3 years to develop questions for the bar exam. It involves reviewing, editing, and multiple testing. Because if you guys have taken these questions, these types of these tests, the multi-state bar exam, you routinely get told there's more than one correct answer. It's just one answer is more correct than the others. And you're like, that's bullshit, I think. They should be, but sometimes in life there are, there's generally one way that ends up working. But that's how they do this. That's how they do this. The NCB takes forever with their questions. So, they were also told that the NCB said you have until November to place an order. After that date, the state bar would not be able to revert. And it said, although they never got that, they decided we need to change our mind, but the deadline was already over. Just like, uh-oh, we fucked around. Whoa, bro, this ain't good. And they believed they'd be able to create and validate their questions in time. But they admit the timeline was rushed and they didn't allocate multiple time for it. And they agree that it was committed to using its own questions with no established alternative. It's like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Oh. And you might be wondering about that whole thing with Kaplan and the NCBE. Well, they do bar exam prep, and the NCBE gives them the right to distribute and display publicly already released questions. So they point out how delayed this actually happened. And yeah, by January, the multiple choice questions were finalized for February. That's like not even a month to prepare. The Kaplan didn't ensure it had questions for all the required topics. Kaplan's required to deliver batches of questions. And the number of questions in those batches, like it wasn't specifically done well. And they say, however, the bar did not specify the topics within each of the 7 subjects needed for the bar exam. There was a shortage of questions in certain topics. And ultimately, when you do the MBE, they try to balance it out because they spread it around. But they weren't told that. They were just told, give us questions. It just gets better and better and better, your chat. It gets better and better and better. It causes so many problems. They couldn't alter the bar exam in a way that required modification of the training or preparation needed for passage without providing 2 years notice. Because test takers have to be able to prepare. And if they can't, then how do they have a chance? So what did they do? Well, they allowed Kaplan to use questions from the baby bar, that thing Kim Kardashian tried to take, from the first year law students exam. And this resulted in a content gap once it realized the exam questions didn't recover all the topics. The first year bar exam questions only include 3 of the 7 subjects. it's a complete disaster here, chat. A complete disaster. The state bar's first year exam question only partially covered a topic of negligence. And it did not cover these topics. The Fourth Amendment, the Fifth and Sixth Amendments regarding confessions and IDs, which are critical to know. The Sixth Amendment, the exclusionary rule, post-trial rights, appeals, new motions, other considerations. Look what it didn't cover. Like, that's a lot of stuff it didn't cover. And look at the rest of this here. Like, contracts. Like, it's not teaching you a whole lot. It's not very good. This is not good at all. And they used AI. And, like, once again, they point out this is so bad. It's so bad. So when they didn't have enough adequate number of questions, they asked for AI to help. And it's funny because attorneys are told, don't use AI. We'll make you in trouble. You'll get in trouble using AI. But the bar used AI. So they recommended the state bar instead test 49 questions during the November experiment test. And they did. They did a test here. And they went ahead and used AI, guys. Think about that. But they go through all this and they just show all the failures here. Think about this. So they used the first year bar exam, which sucked. Kaplan, which wasn't weighted right. And then they used AI questions. So these weren't weighted properly. These weren't weighted properly. And God knows what these actually were out of your question sources. Absolutely disaster. AI was allowed in Kaplan's contract. There weren't similar provisions. And they say the use of AI must conform to the U.S. Copyright Office regarding copyrightability and ownership. And it says humans shall conceive, execute, and actually form the elements of authorship. And it says Kaplan shall disclose the extent and nature of its use of AI in connection with any work product prior to delivery. But they didn't. These guys just make stuff. And they say the use of AI was not inherently problematic. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds like, but it became. They said they thought AI could help improve reliability and cost effectiveness. Although, you know what? They didn't do it through a transparent, structured process or communicate anything to anybody that allowed oversight. Nope, none of it was clear. None of it was clear. How was this done? What was being used? But anyways, they had one company that was doing development, validation, and post-exam analysis. Think about that. Think about that. If they're in charge of all three things, yeah, it looks like they influence question development, evaluation, and scoring. Now, whether or not they did, it looks like a massive conflict of interest. Because guess what? If you're in charge of the post-exam analysis, but you're also in charge of the development and validation of the exam, and then you're also charged with evaluating and analyzing the performance of the exam, well, there's a lot of room for you to do whatever you want that way. Yes, one company was doing it, chat. Think about where you work. This isn't even an exam, but you have a testing process for wherever it is you guys do. Your ISO certification. Just one company's in charge of all that. I think all the ISO is, but testing the quality of your widgets that you guys make. And then they're in charge of all the validation programs. And then in charge of evaluating the validation programming. And they acknowledge there's an increased risk of perceived conflict of interest. There's a massive conflict of interest. And the funny thing is, in the California bar, one of the things they talk about, one of the topics, it's funny because one of the things in the bar exam is professional responsibility right here. And one of the things they teach you in professional responsibility, your ethics class, is conflicts of interest. You shouldn't have conflicts of interest. Yeah, CompTIA. Well, there you go. But yeah, you can investigate yourselves and do nothing wrong. Yeah, ISO is a standard, and they're evaluated by one company. Okay, well. But look at that, like professional responsibility. Part of that's a conflict of interest. So it's like, but we're gonna have our own conflict of interest. Just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, chat. Absolutely ridiculous what they did to these kids. I mean, imagine having to perform on this. And the increased risk of perceived conflicts of interest. Look at all this. Question development. The validation of it. They had panel reviews. And then they evaluated question performance. They identified questions to be removed from scoring based on their performance. I'm assuming it wasn't their questions being removed. And the question issues forced the State Bar to remove more questions from scoring than it had intended. Well, that's a problem. So they identified 40 of the 200 multiple choice questions had performance issues. While the State Bar intended to remove 25 from scoring, it did not include 29 questions in the test taker's scores. Think about how bad that is. And they didn't have extra ones to put in. So they're just like, we're just not going to count them. And think about if you went into the bar exam taking that test. I mean, whoa. Knowing, like, out of 40 of the 200, 1/5, 20% of what you're taking is bullshit. Imagine that. 20% of what you're taking is bullshit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. But there were validation flaws for all of this. Because what didn't they do? Content validation, subject matter expert reviews, and pre-testing. That's how the NCBE does it. When they recruited content validation panels, it did not follow industry standards for selecting panelists. It assigned only one subject matter expert and did not ensure the SME reviewed all the questions. Then why do you have him if he's not going to review them all? They did not pre-test most of the new multiple choice questions. So they couldn't find out if there were problems. How does that work? How do you do that? How do you do that? So what happened here? Well, the content validation panels were law school professors and recently licensed attorneys. Okay. But what about attorneys who've been practicing for a while? They probably have things a little differently than a law professor or a brand new attorney. Well, they point out what they didn't do here. So here's what didn't happen. 200 questions, chat. They did not follow the industry standards when selecting panelists. They only had one subject matter expert. But on the good side, they did check for grammar and style. Chat. That's good news. Grammar and style were checked. They included potentially legally inaccurate questions on the exam. So there were questions that were not legally correct. They were not factually accurate. Wow. But yes, they made sure that the punctuation was correct. So the State Bar didn't document anything. Its eligibility requirements for recruiting its panelists. They selected panelists by contacting people they had worked with or knew through professional networks and law school contacts. And they began pulling reports of licensees who've been licensed within the previous 5 years. Just friends of a friend, chat. That doesn't sound like a conflict of interest and cronyism and nepotism. Oh, who do you know in the good old boys network? They did not conduct background checks because they assumed that the panelist employers would have already conducted background checks. Brilliant logic. Brilliant logic. Notice they had 17 validation panelists. One of them had an inactive license. That's like putting Nick Rekieta on your bar exam and having him review it. Inactive licensing. Imagine letting Nick Rekieta review your bar exam for like how good it was. Because that's what they did here. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, they had 9 law school professors, 2 legal experts, then a bunch of recently licensed attorneys who, you know, guys, here's a secret. When you're new at the law, like up until like the first 5 years, I thought I knew a lot. I thought I knew a lot after the first year. But really, it's not until 5 years you know anything. Like at your first 5 years, really, I think, you know, honestly, it took quite a while before I really felt like I knew what I was doing. But like 5 years in, like, you know, fuck and all as an attorney, really. Like, you know enough to handle problems. But you are like, what I know now compared to what I knew 5 years ago, oh my God. It'd be like talking to a little kid. It'd be like talking to a little kid. Seller says, were you a prosecutor first? No, I was a prosecutor for a couple of years. BobTube says, there'd be 130 questions on Frank's motions. Yeah. Keopathic, yes. You're right. Nick would go around and say, well, your questions are bad, but you're cool. You go, oh, I'm cool. That's what matters most. That's what matters most. BKS, did I fail to Florida bar? No, not yet. I haven't had a chance to take it yet. In your defense, Sean, you are kind of retarded. I am. I know I am. But just think about this. One guy didn't even have actively practicing. You know, and, you know, the policy states you must have had a license to practice in one state and be in good standing. They had to update it, though. They had to update, and that's the new rules now. You have to provide evidence you have expertise and knowledge and skills. And the subject matter review, they need to do stuff there. You know, by only using one, it placed a lot of significant time pressure on them to correct issues before during the periods, and it didn't help. And the state bar also allowed 23 exam questions that had not been reviewed. You know, and the state bar did not score 4 of the 23 questions, including 2 questions the subject matter expert had said was not accurate, despite them being top performing questions on the experiment. And that's the thing. Like, everybody did really well on it, but he's like, I don't even think it's right still. It's not a good question. So think about this. Most of the questions when they did their experiment weren't even validated or checked. They still had no subject matter review. So of the 30, they went from 49 to 35. Over, you know, nearly 2/3 of them not reviewed. 23 out of 200 did not receive subject matter review. 23 out of 200, chat. 10% of them were not reviewed. "12 days before the bar exam, they wanted a final review of all 200 questions. And he said 60 of them needed minor wording and grammar corrections, and 6 had legal inaccuracies. Well, there were problems. Why? They had already printed exam materials and uploaded the questions. So what do? They removed some of the legally flawed questions. They didn't do the method of pre-testing for questions. And yeah, there were 40 of the 200 questions were problematic, had performance issues, and 6 raised legal accuracy concerns. Think about this. 11% of the questions had lower negative discrimination. And what does that mean? This is an actual test term. When I read through this before, it was interesting how they do this. Test takers who perform well on the exam overall did not perform as well in this question as test takers who scored lower on the exam overall. And sometimes you can use questions to validate stuff. Think about how fucked up this is, guys. Think about how ridiculous this is. And then low discrimination, that test takers who perform well in the exam overall perform similarly on the questions as those who did not perform well overall. 12, and guys, think about this. 12 of the questions had invalid options. And the test takers overall chose only 1 or 2 answers for a question, meaning the other choices were faulty. 14 of the questions were too difficult. Sometimes they're ridiculous. 9 of them were too easy. So what happened? Well, they had to remove 25 questions from scoring. But anyways, what does the bar do? Well, they removed 175 and left 25 remaining unscored. Well, that's normal. The NCB does that too. Because remember, a bunch of these are test questions to see how people are doing. But they just point out, they had to remove so much shit from this. The content validation panels only identified a handful, 2/3 of the questions as having issues. And the subject matter approved all unscored questions after making revisions. So not only that, but they had the guy wasting time on shit they removed anyway. During his first review, he said 100% of them were okay after his revisions. Think about that. This is just a disaster. They're doing the bar exam as they fucking went. Just screwing around. There were just so many problems with this. Just so many problems. Everybody here had all kinds of issues. There were problems with exam security. The dual camera models required test takers to use both a webcam and a mobile camera. Which is too much. How do you do that? You can't do all the things here. Some of these vendors had all kinds of crazy rules they wanted done. All the Leering Center stuff. And it just goes on and on and on. Look at this, guys. It's just page after page after page. But the technical and administrative failures, and that means when you take the test, it's not good. And the bar exam is so nerve-wracking. The state bar shared with our office 200 emails it received during freezing or error messages that test takers experienced during the experiments. And think about during the experiment. Okay, but imagine you're in the middle of the bar and your shit freezes up. Guess what's going to happen? You are going to panic. You are going to be I do that whole thing. You are if that happened to me in the middle of the bar and my laptop froze and I'm not in a place where I could just start writing a blue book. Oh my God, guys, I'd be Panic Attack City. But anyways, following the bar exam, 4,200 test takers reported issues. Half of the nearly 2,700 surveys reported computer crashes and freezes, and 1,200 respondents reported error messages during the multiple choice portion, meaning even if you're clicking things, it won't let you proceed. And that's timed. Clock's ticking, and it won't let you do stuff. That is, oh my God, it is awful. That would be so scary if that were happening. That would be Just that would be so fucked up to deal with. It would just be so fucked up. You know, they didn't, you know, just nothing's done right. Nothing's done right. So what happened? Well, exams were ending early. You know, so what was wrong with the proctors? So the proctors that were hired didn't understand rules or inconsistently enforced them. Were hard to understand because of background noise and language barriers. Imagine that. You're taking the bar exam and fucking Star Wars lady, somebody with a Star Wars name, is trying to proctor your bar exam remotely. They weren't always available. You're trying to take the bar exam and your fucking proctors don't show up. So, I mean, it's awful. You know, one of the people told their proctor who had signed up for remote tests, they were not allowed to take the test remotely in their home office and then signed off. Like, you know, there were so many problems. You know, they gave them a learning guide for stuff, but it was like within less than a month away. And then it ultimately said that you could withdraw from this exam for a full refund or get a waiver for a future bar exam. Because normally if you withdraw right before, like after deadlines, you lose the money. You know, but there were over 1,000 people who had problems related to proctoring. You know, they said that like most of the proctors lacked training. They were, you know, they had unclear instructions. There was inconsistent enforcement of prohibited items policies being transferred among proctors during the exams. While other people reported the exam started up 90 minutes later than expected. I mean, think about that. Your bar exam is like and yeah, I was using the room for the dude was going to cancel exams. I didn't have a desk. Yeah. But yeah, great. You know, you get this is where is, and I'm sure he's like, where is your desk? In Nigeria, we have desk. But imagine that. Like, on top of that, it's somebody who doesn't speak English well. And it's just proctors who don't understand what the fuck is going on. So what did they do? Well, they had to do scoring adjustments. And remember, we talked about these. There were 2 scoring adjustments. Setting low raw minimum pass scores, and then replacing blank multiple choice and written response questions, which could have happened because of technical and administrative problems, with scoring of imputation, meaning we're going to guess what you were going to do. We're going to project your score. You know, and after that, they had 2 more scoring adjustments. Think about that. Think about that. You know, 227 people got passing scores because of this. You know, and they got another 80 people to pass it. And then ultimately, 65% of people passed because they admit they'd fucked it up so bad, they had to change how they scored, and that let so many people in. You know, and yes, the initial pass rate was 36%. And then they said setting the minimum raw score pass and they doing the imputations. The final pass, like, notice, plus 22%. Taking the higher of 2 essay reading scores, imputing low performance scores. And here's the thing. If you had a low performance test, meaning that, like, they make you put a memo together, if your essay scores were higher, they said, okay, well, you probably were going to do better. It's just the whole thing got fucked up. So basically, everybody fucking passed. And yeah, they tried to do this to save money. It cost them $4 million. So, you know, here's how it works. So normally it's 7.7 in direct exam cost. from 2022 to 2024. The February bar cost $5.1 million. Excluding the pending legal matters. And there was a loss of $4 million due to the remediation efforts. So they lost all kinds of money. But notice though they didn't develop their cost estimates until their contracts were finalized. It's like DSP math. We'll save money. Yes, build it out of money. Just spend more money. Think about how this is just all in one place, guys. The administrative cost every year. And notice they tried to do the hybrid one, and it still cost even more. It's awful. It's just awful. The value of the unused fee waivers, because a bunch of people said, fuck it. People just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it. They had to refund $2 million to the February test takers. People just wanted straight refunds. They issued over $2 million of used fee waivers. Think about all that. But they apologized for the problems. They offered a full refund if they choose to withdraw, which I would definitely take that. I mean, God, that's so fucking scary. Yeah, it's so bad. Like, imagine you lost your job because of this. You were a job and you were going to get stuff here, but and they talk about the agreements and all that, and I'm not really worried about the contracting, but just absolute fucking disaster. Counterpoint, the students these days are really dumb. Yeah, but just look at what they did to everybody. Yeah, you guys missed your shot to pass the bar. They were letting everybody do it. Just absolutely just fuck these kids over. Fucked all these kids over. For no reason. No reason at all. Oh, just sad. It's sad all around, chat. Sad all around. Don't know why, but oh well. All right. Well, moving on from there. If you guys are familiar with Florida politics or Florida at all, Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida, and he is about to be term limited. Got his 2 terms in. Well, at one point, Ron DeSantis had a very challenging race. It wasn't that easy. Florida was still up for grabs at one point, just so you guys understand. Florida was fair game for a while, and let me tell you, chat, it was interesting in Florida because there was a contender, a guy by the name of Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum was close. And he was really going after. He was really going after DeSantis. Gave him a run for his money. If you guys have never seen Andrew Gillum before, this is him. And yeah, he did a lot of meth and some allegedly gay shit too. It's not really clear, but that all came out while he's running for governor. But if you guys don't know, yeah, he didn't win the 2018 governor's race. But you know what? He was a former mayor of Tallahassee. He came with 34,000 votes. 34,000 votes. 34,000 votes, chat. That's very close. Very, very close. Very close. Marlene, you heading out? Have a nice night. But yes, he was recently arrested in Alabama, and they found a bunch of marijuana cigarettes, and then a bunch of baggies of meth. And yeah, this guy was like a rising star in the Democrat Party. He was, he was one of those people everybody loved, and yeah, he was all about it. Kind of like Graham Plattner, except Andrew Gillum does not have any accusations of raping women or working for Blackwater or having Nazi tattoos. But yeah, it's just. But anyways, yeah, this is him. Like he was on top, and yeah, now he's out doing all kinds of meth. So I do like how they're like he was without saying cast for a stone. And yeah, I'm sure people are acting like assholes, but it's just interesting. Like, guy ran for governor, lost, and fucking just woof. It's a lesson to us all, chat. Lesson to us all. All glory is fleeting. All glory is fleeting. All glory is fleeting. And let's see here. We are. Okay, we need to get to some other stuff here. Flock cameras, chat. If you guys don't know what Flock cameras are, Flock is a company who they sell license plate reading cameras. And Flock is, they claim that they operate their safety. They claim they can help solve crimes and all kinds of crap. But yes, if you guys have ever been to Flock, they say 20% of crimes are solved with Flock. Well, yeah, if you put cameras everywhere, yes, you can save all kinds of fucking crimes from these. But these Flock cameras they're awful. Makes us a surveillance state. And I talked about this before. Erica said they helped catch an armed robber here in my town. Well, I mean, they'd find him at some point anyway. But the Flock cameras, well, people are fighting back against these. Apparently in North Carolina, these guys are seen walking around after they chop down a camera. Which, if you chop one down, guys, don't take it with you. That stuff can be tracked. But anyways, that has happened. There are, hold on here. There are other things you can do here. And these Flock cameras, guys, they're everywhere. And this is an example of a place called Don't Get Flocked, Flock Hopper. There are over 90,000 of these automated license plate reader cameras. And this data is bought and sold by the government. You can enter your zip code and figure out like how to navigate in the areas you're in. And I'll put down you can just go and then it'll show you how to navigate around and get around these to fight. And there's an app for it. You could take action in your community and say, do we have Flock cameras? Can we fight them? Chanel Boo Boo says, lasers can easily burn out CCDs. Yes, they can. I suggest, if you're going to do that, though, do it during the day, because if you do it at night using the laser, you'll stand out. If you do it during the day, it's really hard for them to figure out where the laser came from. But yes, really good lasers, like ones on Alibaba or Temu, like the really dangerous lasers, will burn out those cameras pretty fucking quick. But yes, Don't Get Flocked is a thing there. There are multiple people, though, that are fighting these. And
all that's left is this pole. The camera that once stood here is gone. All that's left
this is out in Houston.
Across the street.
This is out in Houston. Chat.
Another one taken down as well. A criminal justice expert tells me this could be a sign of the growing public unease with this type of video surveillance. In two different parts of Houston, the same scene, surveillance cameras lying on the ground. Two near Memorial Park, two more near Washington Avenue and Westcott.
Yeah, love to see it, chat. You love
All
to
part
see
of
it.
Flock Safety's automated license plate reader network used by Houston police and other law enforcement agencies. Houston police confirming
Which then they then sell the data. Flock sells that data.
an investigation into this. While the motive is unknown, the technology itself
I think we know what the motive is. They're based.
has drawn criticism in the past from people concerned about the data they're collecting.
What level of frustration have we encountered? Right?
Texas Southern University professor Howard Henderson, founding director of the Center for Justice Research, says the backlash reflects broader concerns over privacy and who ultimately has access to the information these cameras collect.
For many in society, they're looking at what the negative unintended.
Yeah.
Here
you go.
A crowdsourced map from deflock.org shows thousands of flock cameras across the greater Houston area. Because anyone can submit locations, ABC 13 cannot independently verify the data shown, but we know that multiple law enforcement agencies use the cameras. Houston expanded its use of the technology through a multi-million-dollar agreement with Flock in 2022. In that contract, HPD describes the camera as an investigative tool, writing that, quote, all data from vehicles observed will be provided to HPD for further assessment in detecting vehicles wanted in suspicious or post-event investigations for law enforcement purposes. Just months ago, Harris County commissioners voted to renew its contract through June 2027 at a cost of just under $869,000. The Harris County Sheriff's Office previously credited the cameras with helping recover stolen vehicles and locating two kidnapped children. But Henderson says there's growing public.
What kind of Sawzall blade? I'm sure any good demo blade. I mean, like, just you could probably use the ones at Harbor Freight and just rip through them. But remember, if you use a laser, you don't have to carry anything, chat. Like, you can, you go on to like Temu or Alibaba, you can get a class 4 laser. And, I mean, think about like carrying a Sawzall around. Carry one of these around. Carry around something like this. These things will burn out the cameras. These lasers you can blind people with. These are lasers you could start fires with and burn people. But like this one here, it's like a lightsaber. $300. Carry that in your hand. You don't need to carry around, like you just carry it in your pocket. All kinds of stuff you can do out there, chat. It's a case for pure imagination. Yes, you could always do Diablo blades, but yeah. So, I'm just saying, I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm just pointing out, yeah, you could do that. You can use those things, chat. You can use these things. But we are seeing the war deflocking America as we go here. But yeah, deflocking, and for example, like here, I'll do what is okay. Oh, 32114. All right, let's try this real quick. Yeah, okay. So, like, for example, chat, in Daytona Beach, Florida, there are like 95 of them that are already up. Like, here is... This is like just in the Daytona area. Look at this, just like in like Daytona Beach. Look at that. And then like you go down by the speedway. They have flock cameras all like look at this. They have like flock cameras everywhere right outside the speedway. But like they have these fuckers everywhere. All along the coast and in the interior. Look at this. Look at this, chat. Like, look at how ridiculous that is. And then like go down to somewhere like Miami. Like, look at all these cameras. Look at all this. You know, look at this one, like Hollywood, Florida. Look at all this stuff here, guys. Oh, you guys could see it. Sorry. Just look at all this crap. This Hollywood, Florida. Down by Miami. Look at this one stretch of road. Just everywhere. Just all along it. You know, going all the way up to Daytona Beach. Like near me. Like, look, like there's quite a few. There's quite a few of them. I mean, just look at all this. Look at all these places. You know, if you're in Tampa, the Tampa area, and just look at all this crap. And there's so many of them. And yeah, we'll go over to Houston like they were wanting to. 800 in Houston. Look, if you live in Houston, holy shit, guys. Look at all this. Look at all these. Look at all this. And if you live out like LA, Jesus Christ. Look at LA and flock cameras. Look at all these. Look at all this crap. It's insane, chat. Yeah, USAID paid for this. Something paid for it. Something paid for it. Anyways, chat, that's your chance to help deflock America. And this is like actually kind of the fucked up part of this. This lady got accused because the cops said they found her. Now, there's multiple things that are wrong with this, but we'll get to it.
We have cameras everywhere in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out without us knowing.
Chrisana Elzer,
which is kind of fucked up,
learned the power of flock firsthand.
You were in town from 11:52 until 12:09. Exactly. Like I said, nothing gets in or out of the town without us knowing.
When a Colorado police officer showed up at her door holding flock snapshots of her truck.
And here's when you left at 12:09. That's when you left town.
To get?
No, to stop at Ridge Trail.
Wait a minute.
And take a package. Well, there's no shushing. I don't need to be.
I need to know where this is.
The first thing he pulled out on the body cam is that flock picture, the clear.
You should shut the fuck up and not argue with them. That's the biggest thing. But she already failed that point. So let's see how she handles it.
Photograph of your car.
But here's your vehicle in the neighborhood many, many times, apparently casing houses because you just can't drive through for work or visit other businesses. You can only be casing houses.
It is her. It is 100%. It is locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. 100%. It is certain. It is on video. You're obviously welcome to go to court.
He 100% probably beats his wife too.
Chrisana was charged with stealing a package, but it wasn't her. The porch pirate was somebody else.
Multiple times you tried to show him your video evidence. He didn't want to see it.
Even when I called him back, he said, that's not my job.
You looked at the time of a crime. You saw my vehicle entering in the flock.
No. What I did was I did an investigation.
You called my wife a liar. You said this is fact.
I have video evidence. I don't know what you want me to say.
The charges were dropped after Chrisana spent weeks trying to get the police chief to look at her evidence. Time-stamped video from her truck and a neighbor's doorbell camera showing she wasn't at the scene of the crime.
What does it say about where we are that you feel you have to have more cameras?
And think about that. These fucking cocksucker cops. Oh, I got 100% proof. I hope that wherever that is, the defense attorneys have that now. Because you can say, I had 100% proof. I had 100% proof. Are you sure? Officer, you were wrong before. So, it's not my job to be proven wrong, yeah. Winter Soldier says he was fired. I don't know. Let's see if there's any update on this.
Than the police have in order to make sure you can prove yourself innocent.
It sounds like it flipped the script to you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
Without a flock camera, that detective would not have been at her door. By his own admission, he pulled out the flock picture of her car. Do you want to apologize to Chrisana Elzer for what happened to her?
For the police misusing the tools? I don't think that I have to apologize.
He wasn't charged with a crime. He wasn't, other than being reprimanded for his attitude.
Sure. No, but I would tell you that, like, should I apologize for somebody misusing a tool? I don't think so.
I mean, well, how did they misuse your tool? Like, Did you set it up so it could be misused?
Flock Safety Chief Communications Officer Josh Thomas.
Who's watching the watchers in these?
I mean, these are the people running your flock cameras. These fucking Reddit types.
Cases.
Look at his phenotype. This is the phenotype of the guy who runs fucking flock. Fucking Redditors, guys. Fucking Redditors. Pardon my language, but fuck them, yeah.
Well, the city council, the city owns the data, so city council would have the appropriate responsibility in that case. Our point of view has always been that it is not Flock's job to police the way police do their work.
What? It's not our job to make sure it's being used properly? I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck, guys? Deflock America, chat. Deflocking America. He was fired for being a dumbass. Good. So, yeah. He's an internet forum moderator type. Yes, that was a very good Robert Gavea plug. Yes, guys. Watching the Watchers. Guys, Robert Gavea doing a great job out there, locking it down in the afternoons and early afternoons and later afternoons here on YouTube. Guys, give him, if you guys haven't watched him before, Robert, always on top of it. Very good, very good, very good creator. I wish I could do it like he does, but alas, I can't. He also doesn't have shitty haircuts like this. So, yes. Yeah, he'll get hired one town over. Yep. Yep. Stabby says he does have a point. Applies logic to any or tool law enforcement gets to use. The cop only did it because it didn't fucking work right. It said she was somewhere she wasn't. So the camera fucked up, and then he fucked up using it. I'm sure that the flock camera got it wrong, and it used AI, and it came up with something wrong. That's the problem here. That's a problem here. Connie Desquad says, it's not Redditors, it's Indians. Sar! Oh, that means we got to get a super chat here that we have to address too. Sar! 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 Tejas Liber says, my sister's a lawyer in Texas, and she said her firm outsources their briefs to Jeet lawyers in India, since India uses English common law. They are fucking stupid if they're doing that. We use common law, but that's it. Like, fuck. The motherfuckers are using AI to write your shit, if that's what's happening. Tell your sister that. They're fucking stupid. What would you prefer, Jeep drafted briefs or AI drafted briefs? They're both AI drafted. You think those Jeets understand American law? Think they understand any of that? No, they go, Sar, you must tell the other side, Bob's a vegana. You must be able to look up her no square. That's all it's going to be there. That's all you're going to get out of that. Don't think like they know what they're doing. Don't think they know what they're doing. Yeah, they use AI for everything. Like, they have no fucking idea. It's a horrible fucking idea. That's malpractice brewing. There were law firm Big Law tried to do that years ago. They tried to do document review and farm that shit out. And the fucking Indians stole all the data and misused it all. And that's why they have to they brought it back to the United States, and they hire like people right out of law school to review documents and data for them. So, yeah, that sounds like malpractice 100%. The accent's not chopped enough. I can't. I'm not a bench showed. I'm not good at the accent, okay? Taylor TC says, herder, flock doesn't work for us. The Constitution doesn't apply. We just pay them for their services. Fucking restarted. Yes. Pretty much how they do it. Yes. So. Yeah, Jeets use AI to rewrite comment injection scripts from 2006. They only change the vocabulary. AI equals any Indian. There was also the guy arrested because another white sedan blew by an officer at 130 miles an hour. Yeah, well, I mean, cops do fuck up on top of it on their own. Ben showed. Yes. I learned that from one of the scammer channels. Call him a Ben show. That means sister fucker. They get really mad about that. I know Ben showed it's so over. I forget which channel I used to watch all the time. The guy used to call him Ben shows all the time. And it was good. Not Kit Boga. It was another channel. Can you say retread on YouTube? Retread. Why? Why can't I? Well, after saying, will Chatry lead to a suit about the constitutionality of flock cameras? Surprisingly, the Supreme Court is protecting data. I could see it. I could see that happening. But I don't know if that's really meant for right now. That might be like a couple steps down the road. It's a very good question, Afton. And we are going to go over Chatry one day here coming up after Tyler Robinson's done and watch it. But yeah, it was Scammer Revolts. Yeah, there we go. Yes, there we go. I remember that channel. But yes, thank you, Afton. Those good questions. So... Pierogi uses it quite a bit. you were saying, can I say retard on YouTube? Oh, well, you said retread. Yes, retard. I'll say all the words people, drugs, guns, rape, murder. All the fucking words, faggot. Like, you can't say those words. It's like, fuck off. We'll say all the words. We'll say all the words.
Rape.
Say it with your fucking chest. So, I'm just saying, I hate it. I hate it when channels like, oh, you got to say pew pews or sexual assault. Sexual assault. I won't act like a fucking 10-year-old. If you're live streaming, the monetization isn't the monetization after the fact isn't where you make your money anyway. You make your money during the live stream, and you don't lose that money. So don't talk like a fucking kid. Fucking use your chest. That's my YouTube. That's my YouTube boot camp minute. Don't be that gay shit. So Sean says, sorry to mean to get you going. No, it's good. I'm glad you did. It's educational, not only for you guys, but for creators. I'm like creator boot camp right there. That was like a knife hand of content. So. Your Discord says pew pew. Yeah, because I go pew pew. That's why. Smoggy Mog says people cut them up for VODs. Yeah, but the VODs don't make you the money. It's still gay. Still gay. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch. J-Rock says, someone please timestamp that for me. I'm sure Alyssa will work on that for you. It's all fun and games, so you get flagged and your channel gets taken down. Well, I'll figure something out then. I mean, if somebody does it, then we're fucked, EDW. I don't know what to tell you, brother. So. Oh. I'm DMing Alyssa now. Oh, Jesus. All right. All right, guys, moving on. This one's kind of interesting. I don't really understand the logic of this. Yes, meanwhile, YouTube autofilters chat. Yep. And EDW, It's too late now. I've already said it a bunch of times. So there's no going back. There's no going back, chat. We're on a one-way trip. So we're on the one-way trip. But this was really confusing to me. So in Indiana, a guy cut his penis off and used to help start an arson fire. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. But, you know, the police investigated a stabbing, and he admitted he cut his balls and, you know, twig and berries off. He cut his penis off. It started a fire. So the fire department was looking into the fire while the police were responding to the stabbing. And their neighbor woke up and they noticed that a family member was missing. They encountered a stabbing victim who had turned out to be the guy. And as he being transported to the hospital, he claimed he'd been stabbed downtown. But then he said later he was lying. And then he revealed the actual cause of the fire. So what did he do? He went to the garage and he cut off his penis with a kitchen knife. He then poured gasoline on it and set it on fire just inside the door and walked away. They did go find the knife and, yeah. He's been charged with arson. I'm pretty sure that guy's going to get an NGRI. I'm pretty sure that guy's going to get an NGRI. If cutting off your dick doesn't get you an NGRI in America, I don't know what does. That guy deserves it. You know, he cut off his wiener and he lit it on fire. Yeah, NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity. If that doesn't get you an insanity, finding, I don't know what does. NGRI. He's living up his truth as a woman. Is it a Darwin Award? I mean, I don't know. So it's yeah. But if that doesn't get you an insanity conviction or insanity thing, I don't know what can. I don't know what can, chat. I don't know what can. I mean, really, at the end of the day, what else? What else can we do here as a people? That thing. I hope he didn't procreate. Yeah. I didn't know a penis was a fire starter. I know when I heard the story before I read it at first, you think the guy cut his dick off and was using like a Pharaoh steel. It was like trying to spark it or some shit. I don't know. So, no, Brewberry says, no, you set him up with the Chinese lady who cut her husband's dick off twice. The second time being after it was reattached in the hospital. Wow. Did he keep the balls? I don't know. Bob Johnson says he was also mourning the steel toes. No one but him is deserving of this. Yes. Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure he's, Streamlabs, PayPal, Venmo. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yes, Your Honor, what do you think you could actually do to this man? He's fearless. He chopped his dick off and then lit it on fire. And somehow he didn't bleed to death. This man is fearless. He's coming straight out of the trenches, Your Honor. The trenches of Fort Wayne. So. Rocket Raccoon. Oh, he cauterized it, maybe. Slapped the hot iron of the knife on it. Summonable Trap says, hey, I heard guys cut off their junk and I came as fast as I could. Well, there you go. Oh. Flashbacks to that German kid in Datura that cut off his junk with garden shears. I heard about that. I don't think I ever watched that show, but I heard about that. Like, that was one of the things. But, oh, my God. Yeah, it is a true Joker moment. You want to know how I got this stump? Yeah. Did he use the gasoline and rubbing alcohol? Oh god, that would hurt so bad. That would hurt so bad. All right, guys. Now moving on to our last story tonight. We are going to get this knocked out. We are going to start off with the Attorney General of Louisiana. I mean, you guys don't know, that is a position you run for, and the current Attorney General for Louisiana is Liz Murrill. Or Murrill, I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah. Anyways, this is the Attorney General for Louisiana. And her job is be in charge of, helping advise the government and defending them and representing them in courts and doing things. Well, she did send out a letter in May to the city of New Orleans and to the mayor. And what was she telling them about? Well, the city of New Orleans surprisingly was engaging in some hijinks. So they have serious consequences under Louisiana's usurper statutes regarding the forfeiture of your own office. You cannot, appoint interim clerks and make new positions, and that a newly created office is vacant by default. The council then adopted that mistaken theory and appointed a retired judge as an interim clerk of court. You can't just do that. And they're saying that's wrong. It didn't create an office. It abolished the former criminal clerk's office, transferred that authority, duties, and funds to the former civil clerk's office, and renamed that continuing office the clerk of court. This guy, Chesley Richard Napoleon. That's a solid name, by the way. Chesley Richard Napoleon is the clerk of court for the parish of Orleans. Guys, remember, in Louisiana, parishes are counties. There is no vacancy for the council to fill and no special election for it. They merged offices together, which does happen. Oh, Chesley is a woman? Oh, okay. Or Chelsea is a woman? Okay. Well, sorry. Oh, my bad. Your letter and the council's actions now implicate Louisiana's usurper statutes. If the judge attempts to assume office without lawful authority, I will be required to seek judicial relief. Judge Johnson, who appears to be an innocent bystander, in your ultra vires, meaning unconstitutional, and outside the scope of your power, actions, would face personal exposure for fines and imprisonment and litigation costs. More fundamentally, you, the district attorney, and the 5 council members, so the mayor and all them, have put your own offices in jeopardy because you've helped the usurper if you recognize the authority of somebody wrongfully assuming power. And for the consequences of that, the governor has the authority to fill any vacancies created by those forfeitures. And it says to avoid further litigation, retract your support for the usurpation of Chelsea Napoleon's office and take no further action. This dispute is already before the Louisiana Supreme Court, which had a preliminary injunction. And it should soon confirm that our Act 15 created no vacancy. Until that rules, no public official should attempt to displace or give competing claim to her office. Sincerely, the Attorney General. To the district attorney, that guy, the council, then the city councilman, along with the mayor. Well, what happened, chat? What happened? Well, the district attorney for Orleans Parish fucking indicted the Attorney General on charges of public intimidation and malfeasance in office. So they went ahead and charged her. And they indicted her. Whoo! You're like, okay. Well, I guess that's a thing now. So multiple counts of public intimidation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then malfeasance in office. And this is all against Elizabeth Baker Murrill. Date filed July 2nd. 2026. And there was a warrant out for her arrest. Yes, they indicted her for doing her job. This is amazing. This is the South, Mario. This is the South. This is the dirty, dirty. This is how it is in Louisiana. You need to have references. I love this state. Well, it got better, though, because the Supreme Court of Louisiana got involved and did something I didn't think they could do. I didn't think they jurisdictionally could do this. So they got involved. And they have a special, so this is versus the Attorney General. And it's on a supervisory writ from there. And what do they say? Per curiam. Meaning nobody signed it, but apparently this was a 4-3 vote by the Louisiana Supreme Court. This is apparently 4-3 from what I've read. And they say the supervisory authority of this court is plenary, unfettered by jurisdictional requirements, and exercisable at the complete discretion of the court. Now, this is kind of like we talked about with Pennsylvania, where they have the King's Bench, where it's like, what's your authority? I have the law. They have literally, they're arguing, we have whatever we want to do, we can do. We have unlimited power. Regardless of whether lower courts have acted. They say, we have long recognized the exercise authority is warranted when the issues presented are of extraordinary nature, time-sensitive, and significant public interest. And it says, like the United States Supreme Court evaluating a state, we say, have they made a strong showing they're likely to succeed? Will you be irreparably injured absent a stay? Yeah, she'll be arrested. Like there was a pending arrest warrant out for her. Will the stay injure other parties? And where the public interest lies. And you see this, Ken V. Holder. We see this all the time in those cases for the Trump stuff, guys, when we do the Trump shows. And they say in this case, the Attorney General makes a compelling argument concerning defects in grand jury proceedings and a trial court's handling of those proceedings. The indictment appears to turn the law on the head and flows from what appear to be extraordinarily procedure defects and improprieties. By all public accounts, the Orleans Parish District Court violated provisions of state law requiring grand jury returns to occur in the public eye and open court. Numerous media outlets have stated reporters were handcuffed and removed from otherwise public proceedings. Oh, buddy. The dispute arises from the Attorney General's defense of a recently duly enacted state law regarding the criminal district clerk of court. And it was directed, and notice, the act was directed at bringing the number of Orleans Parish judicial offices more in line with the rest of the state. So it was very much because of New Orleans, because it's a corrupt shithole. This seat abolished what would have been held by Mr. Calvin Duncan. It says Lori White, the special prosecutor appointed, was previously that guy's attorney. Miss White is also currently being defended by the Attorney General's office in a sexual harassment suit against Miss White. The likely conflicts of interest, if accurate, should have been obvious. Wow. Wow, chat. Wow. Yeah, I'm blind reacting to this right now. This is like insane. FDW Raptor's been here for 11 months. Says, I hate Louisiana. It's a shithole. Well, yeah. And then Coffee Cat says somehow Tara Warwick's tampon blood magic is responsible. Yes. Yes. He'll survive the aftermath. John Doe says this drama is hard to follow. Well, corruption can be hard to follow. So the Attorney General says she was merely performing her duty. She contends this statute requires force, violence, extortion, and threats. Yep. And now that's true. And it says, while the record's undeveloped, it's likely she'll succeed on the merits. She also suffers harm by allowing this matter to proceed without issues being addressed. So what are we doing? Well, except as authorized per curiam, this matter shall be stayed. We remand in order to allow the Attorney General to assert any and all necessary defensive pleadings, motions to quash. This stay will not prevent the filing of response to any pleadings filed by the Attorney General. This stay shall not prevent the filing of motions for the recusal. Response is there too. God damn, Louisiana. God damn. Wow. That's oof. Yeah, and that's the thing, Mario. This is 4-3. 4-3. It's fucking crazy, man. Crazy. Well, Super Iron Bomb says, God bless Flock PR for fumbling, enabling surveillance so hard, and bringing more public hate to it. Well, Coffee Cat says, for $5, she's white. Why do they think she stole something? There are a lot of white trash porch pirates, man. There are tons of them. Don't think it's just minorities. There are a lot of scummy white trash stealing shit. You got to keep your eye on all of them. But goddamn Louisiana. So. Yeah, and that's too. Her bond was set at $400,000. Meanwhile, an old lady got charged with murder this week, and her bond was $100K. Yeah, and Mario says they did it on a Sunday night. Yes, because it's apparently there's, as EDW says, there is a war brewing politically between the city and the state. So. Yeah. Lol, David Hinkins says, yeah, it's a problem. Half the Louisiana Supreme Court is like, this might actually be okay. Yes, that is scary. That is scary. That is scary. It is fucking insane. Maybe I'll get the AG to come interview on this channel. Maybe. And guys, real quick, last thing. This is fucking hilarious. If you guys have ever seen, well, actually, I don't know. Has anybody ever seen Iron Eagle? If you guys don't know what Iron Eagle is, it's a 1980s movie where a kid's dad is shot down. His kid's dad's an Air Force pilot, gets shot down, and then the kid, along with a retired fighter pilot, Chappie, steal a couple of F-16s, and they go on a rescue mission. Well, partway through the movie, spoiler alert, Chappie gets shot down. As he gets shot down, you think he's dead. So Doug is a kid, and he's got his Walkman with him, and he plays a tape. And the tape is Chappie telling him what to do in case something happens to him. Which one? The first one. Yeah. Chappie, no! Yes, Louis Gossett Jr., yes. Well, this is kind of like, when I saw this, I was like, this gives me Iron Eagle vibes. This lady's going through flight school, learning to fly an airplane, and her instructor just goes, whoop, right out the door and commits suicide. At least Chappie gave some stuff. So anyways, this is the guy who's a flight instructor. Leandro Bertazzo. He's in central Argentina. It took place in Toledo. He jumped out of an airplane. So he was on board a Cessna 150 with a student, and he told her, you know what you have to do, carry on. Before he took off his headset, his seatbelt, and just yeet out the plane. Yeah, you got this. Now, I mean, think of like, I'm not gonna lie, if that happened to me, I wonder if she thought it too. She's like, am I on fucking TV or something? Am I getting punked? You're like, ha 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 ha. You're like, oh wait, that's him hitting the ground. Like, she probably flew around to make sure he was dead, but it's like, you're like, well, yeah. Argentina is the Ohio of South America. It is. It is. Best place in Argentina goes Bariloche. If you know, you know. I bet he said it with a smile, too. Clendy says, I mean, sometimes you just won't learn any other way. Yeah. Tim and Tam says, you watch the ground and I'll watch the skies. He was a leaf on the wind. Watch him soar. Yes. The chinchillas ate her. Oh, that's funny. Well, if he were a parachute, that would have been too obvious. Yeah. Imagine explaining that to the tower when you request a landing. Just imagine explaining that to the company. Hey, where's the instructor? He jumped out of the fucking plane. They're like, okay, ha ha ha. No, he jumped out the plane. And they're like, I'm surprised they didn't think, like, you killed him yourself. Did you unbuckle his seatbelt and shove him out the door? Which you could do in a small airplane. Like, in a Cessna, I would take up both seats in the Cessna on the front. That's how small they are. Yeah. The hardest, yes, your plane. My plane, your plane. Ah! You're out the door. But yeah, it's very much like Iron Eagle. It's like they're like, did he give her like a listen to this tape? It has a black box. It does in that one? Eric says a normal person takes up both seats in a Cessna 150. Yeah, and it's I know, but like I might exceed the max takeoff weight in a Cessna 150. If you guys don't know what a Cessna 150 looks like, here you go. This is smaller than a 172. Yes, self-eviction from the crash. Super Psych says, I would have gone into shock. I don't know, man. That would have been crazy, though. It's got to be the best fucking story forever. Katie says, so she landed okay. I mean, well, she's a woman, so I don't know how good she landed. It's the Ford Ranger of planes. Well, the 172 is the Ford Ranger of airplanes. Yeah, 150s are tiny. Yeah. Yeah, at least it's easy to land. Well, landing being easy is kind of a relative thing because, yes, every airplane lands. Every airplane lands. It's just a matter of how well you control the landing. Did she butter her landing? I don't know. Racket Goot says the 150 gets its ability from holding 150 keys of Coke. Yeah. It was a very common plane for that. She landed better than he did. Well, maybe. But yes. Yes. It makes up for the check ride. Yeah, I'm sure it does. And shit, but that's my grandfather. And so my grandfather explained to me. He says, remember, every airplane lands. It's just how controlled does it land. So, how do you know she didn't kill him? Well, that's the thing. I don't know. Your 150 had a broken door and seatbelt on the same side, so your instructor was going to fall out. Oof. Oh, speaking of that, chat, in the locals for the members, we talked about the killer flight instructor. His case is still pending. The guy who killed people. I don't think his case is played out yet. Shiro says, keep your landings equal to your takeoffs. Yeah, my grandpa was able to do that in the Navy, but not everybody did in his type of plane. Afton saying, any idea what happened to the cargo jet crash? Which cargo jet crash? It could be a murder, maybe. Takeoffs are optional, landings are mandatory. Yes, they are. I was in a seaplane before. Was fine till the pilot gave my cousin to take over so he could eat pizza. She never piloted. I mean, if you're in a plane and you're flying level and the plane's okay and nothing's going wrong, yeah, you can let like people do that. It's not like a big deal. You just tell them keep it steady. I don't know what I'm doing. Just make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, good. Yeah, the guy ate his pizza. It was pizza day. Katie says the one where the engine caught on fire and takeoff, like the UPS flight? I'm not sure. Spughead said, what did my grandfather fly? He flew the F9F Panther. He then flew the F7 Cutlass. A really cool looking airplane, but very shittily powered. So. A 737 crash? Jesus. I didn't see that one yet. I don't know about that one. Remember the YouTuber that crashed his plane and lied about it? Those were fun times. That guy got fucked. He crashed his airplane and bailed out of it, and then he went to go retrieve it, parts of it. He got fucked really bad. I may cover that and look into that. So. Final says, your grandpa kicked ass. He kicked ass. Yeah, he made it through without getting killed. It was tough. Bald Eagle says, I think the FAA rule is a failure of maintenance to cause the engine to fail and crash for the UPS plane. I mean, yeah, but those DC-10s had fucking engine problems forever. You know, I think it was fucking American was using fucking forklifts to, as engine lifts. And it was straining the pylons. And that's why you had like the Sioux City accident. And like the L-1011s are like the Mercedes of planes. But the DC-10s are just fucking nasty. So, I mean, the NTSB on that, I mean, the problem is, I don't know if you would have known. Eventually, there's stress fractures where you're not looking. So, Armand says the Cutlass is cool as hell. It was neat, but it was very, like, if it had better engines, it would have been even better. So, oh, no, that was ORD. Okay. Do you think the Malaysian pilots did this in the 767? Oh, I don't know. Who knows? We don't really know what happened there. Sioux City was the blade fatigue. Oh, I thought that was because they were fucking around with the pylons on those. And that also caused problems. Oh, yeah, Sioux City was the engine exploding and shredding everything. You're right. I forget. Katie said, that's why I'm scared to get on planes lately. Planes are safe. Planes are the safest thing you can do. So, the pylon was Chicago. I forget. My dad would have been like, my grandpa would have been like, smacked me upside the head, like for not remembering shit like that. The DC-10 should have been taken out of service decades ago. I mean, technically it was for commercial aviation. Not for cargo. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it for us tonight here. We are going to go back over and finish up the we are going to go back and finish up day 4 of the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing. Hold on, chat. So we got to get it caught up. And we'll finish up tomorrow with the final day. So, let's see here. I think we're all set there, chat. Yeah, and the Air Force flew the shit out of its KC-10s. Well, yeah, the Air Force... they've got their own maintenance programs, and they can, it's like, well, we didn't fuck it up, but you guys don't. So, a little different for them. But yes, they did a very good job of taking care of themselves. Aren't DC-10 still uses tankers? They're putting them out. They're phasing them out. The KC-46s are supposed to be taking over more and more and more. But yes, there are still KC-10s in service. Not many left, though. I don't believe. There's Tanker 10 plus Omega's taking them in. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, there's like private air tanking now, which is crazy. No, we're going to watch it here on YouTube. So, and oh, he says Air Force maintenance. Oh my God, what you do not know, all retired. Oh, oof. All right, guys, but yeah, let's finish this up and we'll get ready for tomorrow. So, once again, chat, thank you all for being here. Great night. I had fun. Hope you guys did. Good stuff. Just remember till next time, chat. Just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. R.I.P. Raw Phil. R.I.P. Raw Phil. You were doing the things. So, good night, chat. I'll see you guys over on the Tyler Robinson stream in a second.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fact